What's up everyone, it's your Thinking Cap Benji back with another FPL meta video. In this one, we're going to be discussing 3 crucial dilemmas that you need to smash. First, we're going to be discussing whether Haaland is still in the FPL meta, should you sell him for Mo Salah. Second, we're going to discuss Cunha versus Strand-Larsen. And third, we're going to be taking a look at Solanke stats and whether you should be keeping or selling. Thinking Cap activated. Let's jump into the main dilemma this week. I've had a ton of people asking me whether they should be bringing in Mo Salah and whether they should be selling Erling Haaland to fund that move. Haaland hasn't been performing well at all. It's only 12 points in the last 4 matches, and it's not like they were tough games. Fulham and Southampton were at home, and Newcastle and Wolves were away from home. If it wasn't for Haaland's ownership being so high at 73-74%, more people would be selling him off much quicker. And ahead of 3 away games in the next 4 Premier League-wise, Game Week 10, it looks like the best opportunity to hop off of him, at least until the next international break. I don't rate Bournemouth as a good fixture. I know some people do, but I don't. I think Areola is a very good coach, at least in the home games. Since he's come in, their home form has been really great. So I think if you want to sell Haaland, this is a good time to do it. And I also think it's a great entrance point for Salah. He's in a really good patch of form right now with 2 home games next. And then after the international break, it's Southampton away. So by going to Salah, you're saving the extra money, using it elsewhere, and captaining him anywhere from 1 to 3 times in the next couple. But will Salah continue to outperform Robot? If we look at the comparison stats, Salah has more points, obviously carries way more assist threat. But if you look at Mo's baseline bonus, it's 14, which is extremely high. It's way higher than Haaland. And off face value, what this tells you is Salah's basically elevated as a captaincy option now, because if he scores, Haaland now needs a brace to compete with these 1 premium midfielder goals. He needs a brace. He needs 2 returns to compete with 1 midfield return, which is really tough for him. And this is the main reason why I am very supportive of selling Haaland this week. It's a great exit point, great fixtures for Mo, and if you have 2 or 3 free transfers to set yourself up in a position where you can have a Salah plus Palmer, or even Salah plus Palmer plus Sonny for Game Week 10, Game Week 11, you're definitely in a very prime spot for gains. And if we look at the GA count for the premiums this season, Game Weeks 1 to 9, the most successful structure is obviously a structure with 4 premiums, Salah, Saka, Palmer, Watkins, with the 3 premium setup of Salah, Haaland, Saka also performing quite well. But if you look at the Salah, Saka, Palmer setup, it's only 2 goal involvements behind what the Salah, Haaland, Saka one has delivered. So basically, if you look at the top 3 premium structures, 2 of them don't have Haaland in it. And if you're continuing some underperformance from Haaland, you'd say that the Salah, Palmer, Saka setup looks really great long term. So in theory, if you make the money count, the money that you get from selling Haaland, whether that be getting a Trent, a Watkins, Isak, or a Jackson, you should be able to gain massively from a no Haaland setup, which is why I'm actually leaning towards it. Haaland's output hasn't been at a level where you 1000% need to own him. I don't think he's essential at all, and actually he's been massively underperforming at 15 million, 15.4 now, considering Mo, Palmer, and Saka are all close to him for total returns, and midfielders are much better for bonus. And look, just on Haaland, I think he's a perfectly fine player to hold. I understand it'll be very scary for some people to sell him, but I think that this is the final time you can sell him until Game Week 13, and I think there's real potential that Haaland could continue to underperform people's expectations in tougher fixtures. So yes, I think he's fine to hold if you want to keep him, but personally, I'm leaning towards selling him myself this week. Currently, I'm at an 8 out of 10 to sell Haaland. And remember, guys, that if you're going for this strategy, the key to going without Haaland is you need to nail captaincy in most weeks, and you have to make that extra money count. If you can do those 2 things in the next 3 weeks, you will find yourself way higher than you ever thought possible in overall rank. The second dilemma that we're looking at is who to go for out of the 2 Wolves strikers. Obviously, Wolves' short-term fixtures and long-term are absolutely amazing. Palace and Southampton at home up next, and it's a beautiful run basically all the way up to 17. So, who's the best pick? If we base it on underlying stats, Cunha by far is the superior choice. He's on penalties, he carries creative potential that Strand-Larsen just doesn't have, and his long-term minutes will be much more secure than Strand-Larsen's. Cunha's baseline bonus is actually also 14. That's absolutely insane, guys. Think back to Mo Salah's baseline of 14, who is a premium mid. So Cunha as a forward as well. So he's actually less likely to do well in the bonus as a forward than a mid. He's come out of the last 9 games basically playing all of the top 8 teams in the Prem, and he's on a baseline bonus average of 14. That's insane value for 6.5 million. If he scores, he's very likely to pick up all 3 now, and by far he's the best option. But Strand-Larsen, look, his data isn't actually bad at all. His post-shot XG, which is a stat that measures finishing quality, it's actually at 0.45 for Strand, and for Cunha, it's at 0.31. So technically, Strand-Larsen has been more clinical, and because Chan is out for a while, I think Strand-Larsen's medium-term minutes should be pretty good as well. Definitely not as good as Cunha's, but still very decent. And the things that really do set Cunha ahead of Strand-Larsen are the penalties, obviously, and the fact that he is more creative. He's had more big chances, and his XGI per 90 is much stronger. And yeah, overall, don't be a cheapskate, guys. If possible, if you've got the money and if it's possible, go to Cunha. Do not try to cut corners with Strand-Larsen, because Cunha's the clear choice. You're going to see his ownership skyrocket in the next couple weeks, and he's also got previous historical records of being an explosive player. So I just think just go for Cunha. The only situation where I would be happy for you guys to go for Strand-Larsen instead, if it allows you to get to a third premium midfield somewhere in your team. So maybe if you're looking at downgrading Haaland and getting Salah, but if you go for Cunha, you can't get Palmer in another mid spot. So in that case, I think the million saving is worth it if you need the million to get to another premium midfielder. But if you're not doing anything super important with the money, don't try to be a cheapskate. Don't try to be a cute guy. Just go and buy the main man Cunha. The final FPL dilemma I'm touching on today is Dominic Solanke. Is he worth the 7.7 million price tag? Is this the time to cash out? Is this the time to sell? Look, I understand that he's been underperforming at his price point. I 100% understand you guys. Some of you probably upset, a little bit angry. So am I. I'm disappointed. But the next 2 fixtures are home fixtures, Aston Villa at home and then Ipswich at home. I don't think he's a sell at all. He's still sitting top 8 in most of the key attacking metrics for forwards: non-pen XGI per 90, shots on target per 90, big chances received. It only takes 1 game for him to jump into the top 4 in these stat categories, and with 2 nice home fixtures, his time could really just be now. I think if you're in a unique position where, you have a lot of transfers in the bank, you don't have any fires to put out, then yes, 100% go for it. Go for the upside of a Cunha or a Nico Jackson. But personally, I'm not going to be selling him before 2 home games against teams that have been conceding a lot of goals this season. And to be owning the potential Spurs penalty taker at 7.7 million in a home game against a promoted side, I just don't think you can sell it here. But if you have genuine need for that money elsewhere in your squad, again, if you need to get to another premium, then for sure I would make that move. As always, we finish the video off with the sleeper selection. 1 fully meta differential every week with massive upside, under 10% owned, of course. And this video segment was made with the help of differential legend FPL Skyline. I left his Twitter link in the video description, so go check that out along with all of my other socials. You'll find them all in the video description below. And our game week 10 sleeper selection is Yoane Wissa from Brentford. He's just returned from injury, but he's been flying this season. He's registered 6 returns so far, which is the 6th most out of all forwards. He's second behind only Haaland for non-pen XGI per 90. Do you know how crazy that is? 5.9 million forward. He's second behind only Haaland for non-pen XGI per 90. So he's getting a ton of XGI. He's getting a lot of chances. And interestingly, his post-shot XG, which I mentioned before, it's a measurement to basically measure how well a striker is finishing, any attacking player is finishing. And the fact that it's sitting at 0.83, that's the 2nd out of all forwards in FPL right now. So he's finishing his dinner really well. He's getting the chances. I really do think he's worth the at least short-term upside with how impressive his numbers have been so far. You're getting those numbers for 5.9 million. It's just so cheap and it's so good. And long-term, look, I do prefer, I prefer a Cunha or a Strand-Larsen for sure, but if you're looking to chase, 3.8% ownership for a top 3 forward in terms of underlying stats, it's just a mega bargain at 5.9. And that's basically everything I've got for my Game Week 10 Meta FPL Moves video. If you did enjoy this style format, and if you found some of my insights helpful, then do drop a like on the video, drop a comment down below, leave all of your team dilemmas there, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.